today we are going to be talking about how to build resilient agile teams. We have two great speakers today, Archana and Swapna. Both are Scrum Masters here at Cogent. They'll introduce themselves in a bit. And as always, we also have Edgar, which is our moderator. And I am Gabby. I'm your host today. I'm a business analyst here at Cogent. And yes, so the topic today is a very good one. I think we all are part of these teams, and it's nice to understand how to work together to create this type of teams. First of all, I want to start by saying what resilience is. I don't know if you all know, but resilience refers to the ability to adapt, recover, and thrive when we are facing challenges or setbacks or uncertain things, right? So in this context, when we are working on an IT business and with other members, it's important and crucial to have resilience because this empowers people to navigate and adapt to all these changing environments with flexibility and determination. I'm sure Archana and Swapna will cover more of this, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction about resilience. And yes, so Edgar, I don't know if you want to go ahead and start. And by the way, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section, or you can raise your hand as well. Yes, Edgar, go ahead. Okay. Sorry.
Sure. Thank you, Gabby. Yeah, so I think the interesting part today is to debunk some myths, right? There's like the theory behind agile and the flexibility it should have, and how it helps us, drive projects and get to our goals. So all of that is true to a certain extent. And I believe today we will find out, more to the life experiences, more into the ground, what actually happens, and how we can, maybe use some tricks, some tips that our experts today may share. So we can actually get things done and build these resilient agile teams, right? So yeah, I'm excited to know more about this, and over to you guys. I know we will be reviewing a small presentation, but throughout the presentation, we will also be, talking about these real life experiences and how it really works, right? So
right, definitely.
Sure. So I'm not sure who's starting.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
You can start the screen.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Archana.
Yeah, let me start. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. So yes, as Gabby said, as Edgar said, that's right. So firstly, I'm Archana Sankhe. I forgot to introduce myself. I work as a Scrum Master for Cogent IBS. And yes, building a resilient team is definitely something which is very important to me. It's a very, very, important part of my job profile, my job, which I have to do on everyday basis. So it's something like an ongoing process that requires dedication, that requires support. You need commitment to continuous improvement. You need to change and adapt to that change. So how do we do it? How do we do that? So the some things that we come to the mind is like by fostering trust, cultivating growing or a growth mindset, then promoting definitely collaboration, nurturing individual well-being. When I say nurturing individual well-being, what exactly does it mean? So it's the ability of the team, ability of an individual, a person to bounce back from setbacks, to maintain high levels of performance during under pressure. We do have that situation so many times, and to collaborate effectively. So building a resilient team, it has its own challenges. where we have to adapt to change, where we have to achieve long-term success, as we all know. So going on to my first slide, where we see my first pointer is establishing a clear vision. Now, definitely a very important aspect in building a team, because that's how we start a project. We all know we need to have a vision, whatever we are going to build, whatever we are going to develop, whatever we are going to work on. So how do we do that? So it can be something like, it's like defining a project goal or a vision, a goal and a vision. I think it's kind of, a same thing. So vision or a goal. So that is what something I feel is very important, to establish a clear vision. And whenever you establish that clear vision about what you are supposed to do, then you need to collaborate that vision. How do you do that? You can have collaborative visioning sessions with the team, where you can understand the purpose, the vision of the project, which kind of provides a sense of direction and motivation to the team. For example, we are talking about Scrum teams, right? In Agile, we have Scrum teams. So we have a team where we have developers, we have designers, we have product owner. So we need to have visioning sessions in between them, where we can discuss challenges which are faced by the users. For example, I work for a social media project. So we kind of always discuss the challenges faced in messaging apps, maybe emerging trends in social media communication. We are also continuously gathering, insights from the potential users, the end users. So we need to really brainstorm these ideas to create an application, a product, or a feature, so that it can be easy to use, and
Okay.
it will reach in messaging features as well.
Sorry to interrupt there, Archana.
Yes, Edgar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So first thing is, I really like the second statement there, that create a vision statement and visualize the vision, right? So it sounds kind of funny.
Definitely.
That's cool.
Yeah. So for example, I was thinking about this point, and I was like, what will be the vision statement for my project, which I was working on, Favichat, which is a social media application. So I was like, so I wrote it somewhere. Let me find it. So it's like, our social media messaging application will revolutionize how people connect and communicate online, providing a secure and intuitive or a platform that enables real-time messaging, seamless group chats, and multimedia sharing to foster meaningful and social interaction. I think this statement kind of covers the whole vision, which we want to develop. So how do we do that? So the initial step comes is like visualizing the vision that we have. So how do we do it? We have mockups. Mockups is where the designer creates the prototypes. We showcase the application's key screens, key features, the functionalities. Then we come together, we discuss how we can do that. That is something very important, to visualize it. Without visualizing, without thinking, without knowing what we are going to do, it's very difficult to come up with something, because everybody has their own way of doing things. So it's definitely to visualize and to come up with a certain, to be on one page, basically. So that is what I feel very important when we are talking about this vision. Then how do we communicate regularly, and how do we align with our goals and objectives? So for communicating regularly, we have many sprint ceremonies, or what we can say Scrum ceremonies or events. We say, like, we have sprint reviews, we have regular client meetings, we have daily stand-ups. So in what happens in the sprint reviews, it's basically where or stand-ups. It's basically where we update on team's progress, where we share the completed features, the milestones achieved, where we emphasize how the development aligns with the product vision. Very important. Where we highlight the benefits, and it is where the team actively engages basically in the discussions and provides feedbacks about where we stand, what we are trying to achieve. So,
okay,
and how to align.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you again.
Yes.
But let's think about a more, live example of that. Normally, how are these meetings happening? I mean, like, because
so for example,
sometimes,
we can say like sprint planning, right? Sprint planning is something where the team collaboratively comes together and defines a product vision or a goal. Sprint planning is something we decide, we come up with the stories where we have clear understanding of what we are going to develop within that sprint. So sprint planning is something which contributes to a certain vision. That is what I think, which we are kind of, following, which we are kind of doing it on timely basis as needed. So that is one example, I think, which is related. What do you think, Swapna?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Sprint planning and having team
yeah.
meetings now and then, definitely it adds up.
Yeah. So having that goal in the sprint planning, when we are planning for a sprint, having that goal, that vision for that particular period of time, where we are going to develop something which is called an increment in that certain iteration, is very important. That is what I feel we need to incorporate very well, which we did try. We are trying to do in my project, and I think we will be doing it in a more better way in the coming phase. I hope so. Yeah.
Okay. And how did it work before that? I mean, like, is it really like in the book? Like you really, like no, not understand, but you really plan each and everything, or sometimes there are things that are not there.
No, so when
that
I talk
you
about
noticed
that,
afterward.
talk about that sprint planning thing, it is very it is kind of a timely based event where we need to focus on very specific things. It's not like we discuss everything. It has to be a specific things as a team things is important. I mean, we prioritize, we refine, and then we develop. We pick something. The team picks something. It's not even like it depends on the team's capacity and the understanding and the requirement and the priority at that time that we do. Yeah.
Okay. And can we go from that theory to something that you guys have done like recently? Like, can you give us some examples on how you guys prioritize some features, or in general make some of this planning? I mean, let's try to avoid like the things that we cannot disclose, but in general, how do these meetings?
Definitely. Like my client, so he has this tendency of coming up with requirements again and again, new requirements, changing things again and again. I mean, many times we have a certain things, a certain statement, a certain label, which we have changed a number of times. So that is where I think we need to come up with a certain defined what do you say, a priority based thing where we meet as a team. I think we have Gabby here as a product owner for my project, where we have experienced so many times that we got these requirements and then we have to prioritize, reprioritize, then refining those requirements and everything. It was very much jumbled things, but ultimately we came together, we discussed, we thought over it, and then we came up with our game plan within the team, that how we can achieve it by doing it effectively and with the efforts that we have, basically.
So, no, I mean, I know the work that you do, and I honestly think that you guys do great things. I just want to share a bit more about what we do, and try to not be so focused on the theory, but really talk more about our daily experiences, right?
Right.
So,
I want to add something here, like quickly, just as an example, like general example. So there's always like a framework, right? So we need to be within that framework.
Right.
And when there are new requirements and we prioritize some things over others, then, for example, in my case, it's like following some steps. We need to gather the requirements, then I need to communicate with the designers and come up with the mock-ups, then review it internally. So we are making sure that we are following these requirements. And then right when we internally decide that this is okay, we can present this to the client, then we have the meeting with them, we present everything, we explain everything. And if there are more changes, then the whole process start over again, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
right.
Correct, correct, correct.
always,
Yeah.
always within that framework. So that's why we communicating regularly. It's crucial. That's why we have this daily stands up, because we have these sprints. They last 3 weeks, if I'm not wrong. Well, I think it depends on the projects, but ours is like 3 weeks. So within that 3 weeks, we need to make sure we follow everything that we said we were going to do, right?
Right,
So that's
right.
pretty much how it works, like in general.
Yeah,
us.
right. And this is what was missing initially in the beginning, right, Gabby? That is what we need. Actually, we had to streamline going along the way.
Basically, you
Yeah.
know, all this discussion, what I can say is like it comes down, like, you know, boils down to a statement like, you know, the product vision. It's not a static entity, right? You know, it is ever changing because, you know, it will be like, you know, regularly it should be reviewed and refined, you know, to adopt that changing requirements, right? Changing circumstances. So, yeah, so it is like, you know, ever changing, and we need to be very flexible and agile.
Right. So it's like as the project progresses, like we have like a scrum team, we have product owner, we have stakeholders or the client that we call. So we are always like reviewing and refining the product, because always it's like the trends are changing. We always get it. Users feedback, the trends are changing, the privacy regulations are changing, and you know, sometimes the vision changes, the vision statement changes at from where we begin, from where we're ending, that changes. So it's continuous change and adapt. Yeah.
Right, and that's exactly where the resilient part comes into place, because most of the times our team works very hard into like one feature that's like one of the main features, but then client says, okay, yeah, I mean, this is good, but we need to do this and this and that, also. Yeah. So when we go back to the team and we explain, okay, I mean, what we did was okay, but we need to come up with these other 3 things. That's where we need to like keep in mind that they're also like, I mean, people working, trying their best, and we need to try to make them feel like everything that you did, it was worth it. But we also need this.
Yes,
I mean, try not to take them down, like obviously the opposite. So that's where the resilient part takes place into this.
Yeah. So when it comes to this client and everything, it's very difficult to bring them on same page. You know, like sometimes it happens, they tell us something, we understand something different. So it's very difficult to manage sometimes. So it's very important that we are on same page by collaborating, having those meetings, having clear understanding, you know, having clear collaboration and communication. Very important. Yeah,
correct. You know, sometimes what happens in the teams is like, you know, client, like, you know, teams were asked to do more and more with the less and less, right? So there we see the lot of uncertainties over there. Because of that, continuous demands, there creates a kind of, you know, stressful environment, right? And potential setbacks, and sometimes, you know, failure of not delivering the value in the given timeline. So that's where resilience, you know, maintaining that plays a crucial part.
Yeah. So the one more important thing in forming a team, a resilient team, comes to is like forming a cross-functional team. Now, when you say cross-functional, which means like building a team with what do you say, a diverse skill set and expertise, where we ensure that we have a mix of technical and non-technical members. So I mean, what does this type of teams do? Basically, these cross-functional teams are better at problem solving, because we can leverage their strength of an individual because they're from different backgrounds, right? So it's definitely is a better way to have a cross-functional team. So how do we do that? How did we do that? So it's kind of, you know, identifying the key functional areas, like you have your vision statement ready, you know what you want to develop, you have your visualization of the mockups ready. Now how do you have a team? It's like you have to identify the areas that can be like back-end development, it can be front-end development, it can be UI, UX, we can have database management, security testing, then we need people for deployments. So we need to have identify these functional areas, and we need to have team members who can access their skills and expertise in all these functional areas. So we have to identify their strengths, their areas of specialization, considering their skills, their domain knowledge, and of course their previous experience as well, because sometimes it also helps to have an experienced person within the team, because we have seen that within our team, our project, what happens when we have a person with a senior level experience or a junior level experience, the way that they manage, the way the experience they had in their previous working experiences and all. So it's very important to identify and access these member skills. And we can have like a back-end development team, we can identify front end, like I said. Then how do we do this? How do we ensure that they collaborate? So again, that is where the sprint planning, the daily stand-ups, the sprint reviews, client meetings, they all come in picture again. So basically, it all revolves around all these events and ceremonies, always sprint planning, the daily stand-ups, and sprint reviews, sprint demos, sprint retrospectives. So that's how we do it. So we have to participate all this year. We see that they are collaborating effectively throughout the project. And
so yeah, so I have 2 points here. The first one is more like a piece of history of mine, I would say. But some things that, at least when I was starting, right? Then many times, in particular, I'm not sure if this was particular of Mexico or just the company I was working for or something like that. But sometimes there were no cross-functional teams. Actually, sometimes there were no teams. So that meant that that we had to do pretty much everything ourselves. Like you had to analyze the problem, like from the business perspective, and then design the system, then program the system, test the system, right? So something that I'm realizing right now is that, as you mentioned, I believe this might be considered like core skills, like the hard skills rather, right? And but it is true that if people come from different backgrounds, then you also have different perspectives, right?
Right.
And that will definitely enrich the way in which you are working.
Right.
So, I mean, it just came to my mind because I was thinking like, yeah, at some point I did that, and at some point I also had to do that other part. And in the end, sometimes I had to do the whole thing, right? Which is like pretty educative, but at the same time, I was lacking that other perspective, right? That possibly could have improved, the way that we were delivering things.
Right.
And the other point is, you mentioned so many, like meetings, so many things, right? That needs to happen while we are working in some particular methodology.
Right.
But I'm really, like strong into that thought that we want to complete the goals, right? We want to deliver the systems. And sometimes I've read that when we try to, make everything so formal, because agile, I think it started more like an informal way, right? Like people were trying to organize in a different manner because the waterfall methodology was so rigid, and then you didn't realize that something was wrong until the very end, and then you might have invested months there of work, and then people wanted to have an alternative on that. I believe that's how agile came to be. But then, yeah, exactly. But then if we think about each and every meeting that is supposed to happen, then I don't know if we are really investing, not particularly us or the way that we do it, but in general, right? I'm not sure if we are investing too many hours maybe in too many meetings, and that might not help the developers and other team members to actually deliver. You know what I mean?
I know. I got your point.
So
So
the productivity decreases, right? because of the
Mhm.
lengthier meetings and investing more into meeting times and all.
Yeah.
Productivity
Mhm.
definitely
Yeah.
will go
So on that
decline.
note, Edgar, so when you talk about the agile methodology or a Scrum framework, all these Scrum
Mhm.
events or ceremonies that I'm talking about, they're all time framed.
Time
I
boxed.
mean, it's
Yep.
not that they keep on going every day, they keep on going and going and going. It's sometimes okay to miss it. It's sometimes okay to not do it, but it's better to have it and do it, because that's how you collaborate, that's how you communicate, that's how you streamline, right? That's how
Mhm.
you see
Mhm.
that you are following the project goal or the project vision or the project statement. Because if I'm talking about sprint planning, if you're going to avoid sprint planning, then how are you going to plan for that certain period about of time about what you're going to do?
Mhm.
You need all the team
Mhm.
members, all the people to be on the same page. That spells sprint planning is an important event that you need to do. Now it's not like we are wasting whole day, and it's totally time framed. So when I say a sprint is a 1 week sprint, for 1 week sprint, that supposed time frame for sprint planning is just 2 hours. It's not like
Mhm.
you can take
Mhm.
a whole day. If it's like 2 week sprint, it's supposed to be 4 hours. 3 week sprint, it's
Mhm.
supposed to be 6 hours. Similarly, for sprint review, it's supposed to be an hour for the whole sprint, a 3 week sprint or 4 week sprint, just an
Mhm.
hour and a half. Kind of
Mhm. Mhm.
daily scrum is supposed to be 15 minutes time framed box event, though I know it's very difficult to follow it, that 15-minute time frame. It sometimes for us it used to go for like an hour and a half when I started with the project. And oh my
Right.
god, it was such a mess. But now we are working on it, and we have brought it to like half an hour, and we are still working on it, like how we can minimize the time and effectively, and the team can get back to work. So yes, all these are time boxed activities. Yeah.
But I think there's something else there that is hidden, right? Because I also think agile was designed, to be for people or for teams that are all on the same space, like physical space, right?
Right.
Because normally, I remember I was working with Miguel in one project, and then we used to be there in the office, and then we had these stand-up calls, right? And then you had to arrive early or run so you could get to the meeting. But then it was really quick, like just what did I
Yeah, what did
do
you do?
yesterday? Then
What you're
exactly,
planning to
then
do
what
today?
exactly,
Do you have any
exactly,
impediments?
exactly.
Yeah.
And then it happened that, like, for the ones that had impediments, then they were like
Going
like
and going.
uh, not really going and going, but they had to be staying back, right,
I know,
after the
100%.
meeting ended.
Yes.
Yeah, but the hidden part that I see here is that uh, you guys had to implement this hybrid model because we are working remotely, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like you don't really get that time to talk to your teammates or like organize internally. And then the first thing that you do, and when you start talking about things that you are doing, then it's very easy to start talking about the things in detail, right? Because you need to organize
Correct.
in some way.
Right.
So there might be, I mean, this is just an idea, right? And maybe we can start, like doing our hybrid agile or Scrum. But maybe there should be the stand-up meeting, and after that we should create our own, like get together, put everything in order meeting or something that
Yes.
can actually last more time. So we can actually coordinate, right?
Yes. Right.
But
Right.
maybe we are missing that artifact for the teams that work remotely, or maybe there's already one, but it's just matter of us, like discovering that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
So
I
So
think
we are
that's an
actually,
extra challenge, right?
yeah.
So maybe in the daily stand-up, or what we can implement is like, after having the team updates, if there are no dependencies or no blockers or no any conversation needed, then updates are done. Once those are done, whatever the issues team members comes up with, right? We just park them and take it later, right? Take it later in the sense after this 15 minutes is done. By that way, by doing that, we can even respect others' time, and also give more time to the people who are resources who are looking for these issues clarification, and if there is any dependencies.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right,
So
so we can take that
we
later.
have started implying that. Actually, we have Miguel here, who is my project lead, and we definitely had this concern about we are spending so much time on daily stand up, like more than an hour and so, and we definitely started cutting down the time. So how, like, we now we don't discuss everything within the meeting. Only we take daily updates, and if we need to discuss something more, we do have several breakout rooms, as you all know. We use those rooms where the individuals connect with each other. They get their impediments clarified. They get their actions, whatever actions they want to do, they get them clarified and they get them solved and everything. So this is a part of being working remote. I mean, we cannot, ignore it. I mean, that's how we have to do it, because we are not in front of each other. So that's how we have to collaborate and communicate. So we have started that. We have several rooms, several different rooms where people meet and connect and do it. Yeah. So we definitely have cut down that stand-up time, and because we know we don't need like so many people in the room when we need only 2 people who are important for that certain discussion. So we directly send them away to a separate room many times. Like, okay, for example, Miguel, okay, you need to do something with Diego. Please, can you go to some other room and have a discussion? Kind of. So, so every team, I think, has their own ways of implementing it and ways of doing it effectively going forward. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I would like now, maybe Swapna can take over the next slide. What do you say?
Oh yeah, sure, Archana. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi everyone. This is Swapna again. Yeah, this is my first time on Tech Social, and yeah, feeling very excited and happy to share my insights on this topic. So, you know, add more points, what Archana has mentioned earlier, right? What I feel is adopting an iterative and incremental approach to work is another key aspect of to achieve the high performance team. So by breaking down the work into smaller iterations, teams can regularly focus on their progress, right? And focus on specific objectives, and identifying the areas like where they need the improvement, and they can make the adjustments accordingly. So that is what I feel it is most important to look at. And when teams deliver this continuous value at the end of each sprint, they get the feedback from the clients immediately, and this feedbacks helps them to make necessary changes and ensure the final product meet the whether we can check like whether it is meeting the stakeholders expectation or not. If it is not, again coming back and working on the feedback points and bringing them to the client again. So these are continuous cycle of feedback and adjustments that keeps the project on track, right? And and align with everyone's expectation, what I feel like. So I mean, even by doing this, we can avoid most of the rework, right? Redoing of the work, as well as, we can maintain the budget also at an optimized level. So having this mindset of continuous improvement definitely will help the team to refine their process and, enhance their efficiency and deliver high quality results over time. Right.
So I have a question there. In this first line, it says, like this mindset of continuous improvement, but it also reads willingness to experiment. So
yeah, of course. I mean, the team should be like, we need to encourage them to be flexible to take their own decisions sometimes, that gives them the, sense of ownership and accountability, right? So yeah, that is a point, the one.
Right. But it is also true that many times we have to deliver things, right?
Correct.
And then sometimes we need to be very precise, and I believe it might be hard to have that space to really experiment and like try to get to different parts. I think it also has to do with like the overall environment, so to speak, because I've had a chance to work both for consulting companies in the past and also for directly for a client, like inside a company, right? That does not perform consulting. And it's different because when you are there, you are building your own product. Then you have more options and you have like more time, and then you have
Flexibility.
also that flexibility that we are talking about here, right? And then you can really start like seeing things in other places, like for example, I don't know, at that time it was AWS and some things in there, like to build infrastructure with code and stuff like that. And then about that, and you can you have enough time and resources to come and experiment with that and improve your project in that way, or your
Yeah.
product, right?
Yeah.
And I believe it's very different because our goal here is like to get there to the goals, and to deliver the product that you said within a budget. And then this theory, right, that says you should be willing but also able to experiment,
That's right.
then it might not be true in all these scenarios, right? Or all the
Yeah,
ecosystems
correct.
where we are
So,
trying to implement this.
so I would like to add here, Edgar. So what happens when we say willingness to experiment, which means like this is kind of continuous learning, right? Now, what is we say agile? This is something where we learn from the observations, where we learn from the experiences, basically. And since we are working on the iterative approach, right? So, like one iteration is something which is a very small period of time, where, as you said, we cannot experiment because we have a fixed amount of time to deliver something. We are on a tight timeline, basically. So that's where we learn something. Okay, this is not working. This is where we need to change something. We need to do something about this. So that's where retrospective comes into picture. That's where we gather ideas. Okay, this didn't go well last time. Okay, how about let's try this in the next iteration? That can come up as an action point for the next iteration, and that's when we can experiment. That's when we can give it a try. So I won't say that we will have a success every time. It might fail, but that's how maybe we can keep on trying in every iteration. And I think that's what willingness to experiment means, Swapna. That is my understanding.
Yeah, correct.
What you want to say.
Yeah, as you
might have
say
another.
that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
failures,
Success
of course,
failures.
they say like success is not final and failure is not fatal, right? It is a courage to continue. It is the courage to learn things regularly, being in continuous improvement. The perseverance, we say that counts ultimately. So whatever Archana said, of course, I agree to some extent with that.
Yes, Edgar. I don't think you are happy with the answer. Anything you want to add?
No. I mean,
is
the thing is,
okay?
definitely. I mean, the thing is, I played that role, like on the development side for quite a long time, right? And now that I'm playing on the other side, then of course I get to know a different perspective. And I'm just thinking about my experiences, right? Like in trying to reflect on that, like how things might be different or might have been different. But that's really good because, as you mentioned, now even unwillingly, we keep iterating. What I'm saying is, I'm learning from this, and for the next project, for the next thing that we have to do, then I will also take that into consideration because for sure there are always things to improve, and it's good to have this kind of reflections, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and I'm happy. I'm really like getting some insights from you guys, and that will for sure help me as we move through, right? So yeah, I'm enjoying this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
All right.
also, coming to the most important elements, what I feel is the values we need to incorporate in our daily interactions with the team members are, as we mentioned on the slide, empathy, empowerment, and the efficiency, the effectiveness. right? So inculcating these values into the teams, will contribute to a more harmonious and motivated and what we say, like a very productive work environment, right? You agree on that?
Mhm.
So,
Yes, I think we do.
of course, for example, I say, like, in some cases, we also encounter these team members who are not at all proactive, right? Who speak less, or, they share less, or rarely present in meetings, or, they never show up in the meetings sometimes. So, in such cases, not only that, though they know the risk, for some reason they are kind of hesitant to proactively communicate it to the other team members. So there is a risk over there. So what I feel is, in such cases, it is very important to approach the situation with empathy, right? Understanding their point of view, and focusing the build and the trust, right? Build that trust, bringing confidence in them, and consistent and regular follow-ups, and pick up a phone, and reach out to that person and talk to them, and discuss what is the problem and why he was not showing up, and if there is any problem, address it. Try to be like more supportive to him, and so that he also feels very confident, right? To discuss whatever the challenges he will come up openly, and express his thoughts, right, concerns and ideas very freely with us. So um, we need to create a culture like everyone feels comfortable to share their thoughts. So
Mhm.
that is one of the
Yeah.
important element I feel when I
Yeah.
deal with the team members who are kind of shy and little hesitant.
Mhm. Yeah, and I also think it might depend on their backgrounds as well. I mean, like from where they are coming from, right?
True,
Right.
true, exactly.
Yeah, because also in my experience, it has been, like really different while working for different companies, right? And then there were some companies where, delaying a project or making a mistake, or not even that, but even, like if you came up with something, and everyone was like already happy because according to their plan everything was ready, but that's not right, and there are some other things there in order to, that you need to fix in order to get there. Then you can get bad feedback, right? Or like you can get people mad at you. And then if you come from those kind of environments, then for sure you won't, because of course nobody would like that, right?
Mhm.
Exactly,
So
of course.
it might be the case that you prefer not to say anything and let it, like come in. But
Right. Right.
sometimes
Yeah,
that
yeah,
might be worse, right?
Yeah.
correct.
It's
I
So
mean,
very
yeah.
important to make them feel trusted or make them feel safe. Yeah. Yeah. That's
correct,
important.
correct.
Mm,
In that case, we can have obviously our one conversation, and
Right.
know their pain points, like why they are
Mhm.
holding
mhm,
back and all. And of course, active listening, actively, if we listen to their concerns, emotions, definitely it will create a positive impact on them, and they
Right.
will come out and speak up outly.
Right, right, right. So in addition to the sprint ceremonies or events that we were talking about, having these one-on-one conversations, or connecting with them on, sometimes even on a personal level, is very important. It's not always like work and work. We are all
Yes,
humans. We all
of
we all
course.
are humans. We have all our ups and downs, and
I know.
I mean, I'm very fortunate. I think at least for having such a team that they are very, very open to me. They always come to me with anything that they have, and like they, even the slightest problem, slightest happiness, they come and share with me. I mean, I'm so happy and so proud to say that. I mean, yes, I have really good team. And I feel in a way, in a certain way or a certain percentage, I would say I was successful in having that trust from my team members where they can easily communicate with me with whatever they have.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have one question from Harry, and I believe we are almost, like up for this session. But he's saying, what are the attributes or qualities that you like from your team members as a project manager? So,
What do you think, Swapna?
what would you say, guys? Yeah.
Definitely the never giving up nature. Because we have been traveling, on this project mainly, we have been traveling since 1.5 year, and there were like so many challenges, so many hurdles, so many ups and downs team has taken, and there were like, at the time I used to have like a very huge, like 32 people on the team, and the coordination was a big challenge, and even team members were like, because as we were discussing initially, there were like most of the time there were like a lot of uncertainties used to happen on the requirement perspective. So team members used to get like stressed out, but still the only quality is like never give up, since because they have came all these through all these days, like why not we move forward, why not we bounce forward. That is what they resilient attitude, right? So
Right.
that nature, that attribute of my team members, I admire it.
Yeah, I mean, working remote, being remote, it's difficult, to have that connection in every level of ways. So what we need from a team, basically, what I look forward is having accountability and ownership, having that leadership quality where a person feels that yes, he's accountable for certain thing that he has taken in his hand. Very important. Very important, because if you're not accountable, you're not taking the ownership, then I feel it's very difficult to follow up that vision or that goal that you have come up at the beginning of the project.
Yep.
So definitely you need to be accountable, you need to have that ownership, you need to have that leadership quality. I need effective communication is also very important, because I have seen some of the team members, I mean, it's very hard for me even sometimes to understand what exactly they want to pinpoint out or what they want to say. I have to keep on asking them again and again that is it exactly this what they mean or that what they mean. It's difficult. So communication is something I feel is very important for them to have. Then we need to have I feel problem solving skills. We had so many requirements. We had so many things within from my client, speaking for my project, that we were not aware of those things. But never once my lead or my team members they said like they cannot do it. They were always okay. Let's research and find out and let's do it. Let's see what we can do. I mean, it was never like no. This is very difficult. We always gave it a try. And I'm very happy to say that we have come up, or we have developed certain features we never thought of that we will do it. So definitely it is something that I think is very important. Problem solving skills. Then we need decision making. And we need someone who is a good decision maker within a team. Then what else can I say? Of course, they should be aware of their time. A good time management skill. They should be aware of do certain things within a certain time frame of time, because we are on a tight schedule here. We don't have leisure time that okay, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it after 2 days and 4 days. If you are committed, if you are accounted, if you take the ownership that I'll do this within 2 days, then okay, I can understand 1 day here or there, 1 hour here and there, sometime here and there. We all are humans. Sometimes problem arises, we fall sick, sometimes something happens, but it should not happen always. We should see, I mean, it's usually we can see that, right, when a team member does something, and many a times that person actually does it on time, and once in a while it's okay, it happens, it can get late. There might be some some problem, some personal problem that the team member has to arise to. So yes, time management is something that I feel. Then what else?
I can say one that I in my personal
Mhm.
case, one of the most important ones for me is being proactive.
Mhm.
Obviously, being creative is also important, like you were saying, like having all these great ideas when there are challenges or new requirements or
Mhm.
things like that.
Mhm.
But I think also reciprocity is important. For example, I would want them to feel that I am all the things that I want from them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If I
Mhm.
want you to be proactive, I want them to also know and see that I am proactive as well,
Mhm.
and that I can communicate with them openly, and that I am creative, and I try new things for them and things like that. So I think that is what makes a great team. That we know that all of us are in the same page, and we
Same,
can
yeah.
count on each other with the same skills and
Mhm.
great things. You know.
Yeah. So everyone should be basically aware of. So that's where I think identifying the skill sets or identifying the key features or that cross-functional things comes into picture where everyone is aware of their responsibilities and we are being creative in our own way, in our own skills, and we communicate and we collaborate and we get it done. Basically.
That's
Okay,
right.
so it's
That's what.
already 1:02.
Oh,
We have
yes.
so much to say.
I know we can do the next slides in next session maybe.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is
now-
something that we can keep on going on, right?
right, yeah.
It is
So
a
many
never
tools,
ending
so many
process,
inputs.
right? It is not just related to the IT or projects or somewhere. It is even
Yes.
applicable to our day-to-day lives as well.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
so we can talk like how much ever we can, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I
And
was going to
never
say
ending.
actually, I mean, it's maybe it's project planning or it's like party planning. Because like, they all need some planning, right? Yeah, some
I
people.
know.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, thank you,
That's
Ravi
right.
and Patty, for also being here, and everyone else. Thanks, Archana and Swapna. This has been great. Thank you so much for all of your
Thank
insights.
you. Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you
us.
so
we're very
much for this
happy.
opportunity. And, we are also very glad to be here to, give whatever the little we know, share, our insights on this.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you as our Scrum Masters.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so
Keep
We
much.
the
are.
good work.
Great job, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Can we
Thank you.
plan this once in 2 months at least going forward?
Yeah,
Sorry.
we can do that. Yes.
Yeah, we
Once
can
in 2 months,
continue
maybe
this
we
one.
can take it up different topics.
Yes,
Yeah, sure.
definitely.
All right, so I'll leave you all to go to your meetings and projects. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in 15 days. And
Yes.
yeah, have a great rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Have a
Bye.
great day,
you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.